Good evening. This is our first discussion of the semester, and I hope you're looking forward to it as I am. So my article that I chose was Kenneth Minkema's Reforming Harvard, Cotton Mather on Education at Cambridge. And in it, he basically discusses the direction that Harvard University was going at this time period. And Harvard was created by the Puritans with the primary purpose at that point in time to educate future ministers. Cotton Mather and his father kind of felt like they were moving more towards mild liberalism, which is what Minkema discusses. And he discusses how Mather reluctantly decided he wanted to be the president of Harvard. He never gets a chance to. And then he kind of goes back and forth with the presidents of Harvard about how they should be running the school and what standards they should hold their students to. The Mathers worked hard to reform Harvard, and they even created Yale College as an alternate training ground in Connecticut for future Puritan ministers. And really most of the article comes down to the discussion of Cotton Mather's book, Important Points, and Samuel Willard, who would become president of Harvard's book, Directions for a Son About to Attend College. And both of them kind of outline what they think this college should be like for a student pursuing the ministry. And Willard's is 12 points. He makes 12 points about what a future minister should get out of college. And so Mather kind of responds in 12 points. Although it's kind of a stretch for Mather to get his down to 12 points. And it's really probably closer to 24. But he writes it in 12 points kind of as a response to Willard's, according to Minkema's. Mather's important points was one element of his campaign to choose a new Harvard president and revive the school's culture of Puritanism. And kind of interesting to see that, the Puritans came over to purify the Church of England, and then they get here, and then they kind of separate from each other, like in this case, Mather and Willard, and they're still trying to purify it and change it. So the purification of it never ends, no matter where they go. But Harvard is struggling at this time, according to Mather, religiously, and then even scholarly, they're struggling, as Benjamin Franklin criticizes Harvard's scholarly standard, and Minkema points that out in his article. So the student behavior was often very poor, which is Mather points to, and he blames it on the lax religious standard withheld by President Leverett, who was president of Harvard at the time before Samuel Willard. And Mather didn't become president, but by writing directions for a candidate of ministry, which is his important points, he puts Willard's directions to his son to shame. So it's kind of fighting among the two groups, and you see that in New England. I had never learned this about Harvard or Cotton Mather, but we do know in common U.S. history that Roger Williams breaks off from the church. They kick Ann Hutchinson out. 2 or 3 colonies are founded because they're kicked out of the Puritan church, or they're wanting to leave the Puritan church and purify, which is what the Puritans came from England to do. So it's interesting to see the fighting within the church. It's also interesting to, there's still fighting in our religious groups today, and so the Baptist Convention is a good point. So it kind of, history repeats itself. And so Minkema's main point is that Mather wasn't happy with Harvard University, and he wanted to reform it. He never got his chance to by being president, but he does put it forth an effort by writing his book, answering Samuel Willard's directions for a son. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day.